We want it. We need it. Must watch the extended version of the Two Towers. But it's much so long. We must. Why not review the 2-hour version? Otherwise, the fans will hate us. I'm not listening. 4 hours is too long. You're a pussy. No! Go watch Rings of Power then. Go away! I hate you.
Alright. What's up, Rippers? I got some clothes on now, sorry about that. How you guys liking Rings of Power? Make sure and go check out my other videos if you want to hear my thoughts on the new Rings of Power TV series. But that's not the topic for this video. We are continuing our great adventure of reviewing the Lord of the Rings trilogy of movies. This time we are exploring the Two Towers. Is it still as good as we remember? That's what we're gonna explore in this video. Now where to begin? Yes. The story sets off right after the ending of the Fellowship of the Rings, with Frodo and Sam continuing the quest to destroy the One Ring of Power in Mordor, and with Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli in a full-on pursuit, chasing down the Uruks who had taken Merry and Pippin hostage. While the first movie focused on establishing the characters who would go on to lead the plot forward, this one branches off in 3 separate stories that further expand Middle-earth and the troubles quickly approaching. The Two Towers is when the darkness of Sauron and Saruman really comes into fruition. Hence the title Two Towers, referring to Orthanc, the fortress of the White Wizard Saruman, and Barad-dûr, the home of the Dark Lord himself. This movie from the get-go is a much darker and gloomy experience than the Fellowship of the Rings, and gives the audience a more grounded world to look at that isn't as fantastical as the places and creatures that we saw in the Fellowship of the Rings. The ring begins to really take a hold of Frodo here, which once again represents the struggles someone with addiction has to go through, and sadly, how that person's loved ones also have to suffer for it. Frodo and Sam then meet the gangly creature Gollum, aka Smeagol. Hope y'all like that intro, by the way. And it seems like every step that they take getting closer to Mordor, just everything is getting harder and harder for them. The effects used to create Gollum were legendary and truly state-of-the-art for the time.
What did you say?
At that point, the most famous actor turned CGI character was Jar Jar frickin' Binks. And we all know how that went.
Oh, Misa!
I like Jar Jar, fight me. But Andy Serkis, the actor who plays Smeagol and Gollum, revolutionized this style of acting and gave the audience one of the most iconic movie characters of all time. While the other branch of the story follows the trio of heroes as they quickly enter the land of the Horse Lords, Rohan, dark, depressing Rohan. This vast area of land had seen better days at this point in the Middle-earth timeline. And the scenic landscapes Peter Jackson and his team selected for this realm were spot on, I think. Rohan was a country headed towards collapse. The golden years of its people were long gone, and a great darkness had forsaken the lands they lived on. After discovering Merry and Pip escaped the servants of darkness and entered the forest of Fangorn. The story has 2 big twists. Merry and Pippin meet Treebeard, a walking, talking tree.
I am no tree.
Alright, Treebeard, and shit, man. Starting the 3rd story branch in the series. And then Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas learn that Gandalf had miraculously come back to life, and this time in some sexy new robes. Long story short, he went and ranked up after killing one of the most badass creatures in Middle-earth. He stole all the XP. Yeah, you guys seen that meme before, I know. Truly one of the most badass fight scenes I've ever frickin' seen. Together they race towards a fate that would eventually lead them to Helm's Deep, and one of the most epic battles of all time, which we're gonna get to soon enough, don't you worry. Let's talk about the battles in this movie. There are a whole lot more of them than there was in the Fellowship of the Rings, definitely more than in the Rings of Power. So to all my fellow action and battle scene junkies out there, yo, chest bump. This is more of like a weird twerk thing, sorry. We get the awesome slaughtering of the Uruks and Orcs by the hands of the Rohirrim at the edge of Fanghorn Forest right after the infamous "Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys!" What about their legs? Not really a battle scene, but seriously, more fighting in it than 3 hours of Rings of Power so far. Then we have the Warg battle, which, good lord! I still get goosebumps when the music starts to like thunder that epic ass jam, and then you see Legolas like, and he's like sniping wargs from like 300 yards away, like completely ridiculous shots with a bow, like timing that, like these things run so quick, and he's just perfectly arching that freaking arrow. God damn, that makes me moist. Seeing the wargs, and I gotta say these are the coolest looking wargs that we've ever got on screen, battle for the first time with real actors and horses on the other side. I mean, obviously they mixed in CGI with a few of the shots here, but that shit was a true treat for the eyes. We also have the quick shots of the Oliphant skirmish with the Rangers of Gondor. And again we see them in Osgiliath with the rest of the soldiers defending the city. And then the glorious march of the Ents. This brings us to the battle for Helm's Deep. One of the most badass siege battles ever seen in any movie of all time, I don't care what you say. So much badassery, man, so many emotions, so much carnage, it's damn near a perfectly scripted battle scene from start to finish. As soon as this scene starts right here, you know stuff's about to get real, man. The sound design, just like in the Fellowship of the Rings, is really amazing here. And once again, the music by Howard Shore really makes every scene feel real. And so some of you Tolkien purists may be saying, well, the elves weren't supposed to be fighting in this battle. And you're right, they don't in the book. And now I've read the book, and I like the movie version better. Do not try to attack me or assault me. I know how you people get. I have no beef with the books. That being said, I watch the movies first, and like usually whatever you experience first, whether it's the book, the movie, God, I hope it's not the TV show, but if it is the TV show, whatever you like first is usually what you kinda, judge everything else based on. So, hey, whatever. I think the battle was cool as shit with the elves. Not everything is about big battles though. The Two Towers continues to shine in its character development and low-key representation of real-world problems. Keyword being low-key. Not the dude from Marvel. Legolas and Gimli, previously racist as hell towards each other, became best friends in this movie. And the elves in general act a bit more relatable and less better than thou this time around. Aragorn begins to embrace his destiny as the heir to Gondor and understands that even though he's afraid of his future, he shouldn't keep running from it. This is all summed up really perfectly when he and Legolas get into this big argument before the Battle of Helm's Deep. Aragorn really wasn't happy that the elf was lacking in optimism and pretty much saying, everyone's gonna die, why do we give a crap? And this scene also was really special because it showed how, friends can fight, they can have a heated argument, like, about some serious crap. And then, they go their separate ways, they give each other space, and then a little bit later they end up coming back to each other and being like, bro, like, I'm sorry, I'm stressed out, man, like, sorry. That's really cool, and it gives a good message of, like, true friendship and stuff. In the extended edition, we get to see Boromir show his kinder side to his little bro Faramir, and it shows what some families have to go through with their father constantly belittling Faramir and playing favorites with his elder son. These deleted scenes really show us the hero and good guy Boromir was, something that we didn't get to really see in the Fellowship due to, the pressure of the One Ring on him. If you watch my Fellowship review, you would know that I want to bring up important societal issues that are hidden in the Lord of the Rings movies due to the Rings of Power controversies. They acting like they're the first ones to do anything damn controversial and show a representation and all that. So like, look guys, if you truly don't want colored people in Middle-earth for the sole reason of their skin color, you're a fool of a took. But there are entire cultures of non-white folk in Middle-earth, and we get to see some of them with the Easterlings and Haradrim. Ever since I first seen the Easterlings marching towards the Black Gate, I was like, damn, they look so cool. I want to learn more about these people. Like, I don't care that they're different, that they're the bad guys. I want to learn more about them. I honestly was like, if I had to choose a set of armor in Middle-earth to walk around in, I wanted to be one of these guys, So like, hey, I wanted to learn more about them. But sadly, not much has been written on these characters. They are super cool types of people, but some people got heated at them being the colored evil men in this movie. Now in the lore, there's a reason why they're fighting for Sauron, and it's actually kind of sad. Like, he tricks them and and just honestly does some shady shit in order to get them to keep fighting with, you know, the other free people of Middle-earth, and he just kind of causes this stupid-ass conflict between the two different types of people. But to end this topic, Middle-earth is a rich fantasy world, and hopefully one day we get to see other peoples of Middle-earth explored in their own countries, and see how they were just as human and overall good as the white guys to the north and west. So with all that being said, let's go see what the critics had to say about Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
Oh, The Two Towers? What I think? Well, The Two Towers offers the same, if not more magical spectacle than the previous installment. It's thrilling, enthralling, and dazzlingly exciting. But I do wonder if any compelling story gets lost amidst the spectacle. But I just hope that the third and final installment doesn't get carried away.
For the critical score, I took the rank from both IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, the two leading review platforms, regardless of their quality, I know they're annoying, and came up with an average critical score of 91.5%. What do the fans say though?
Dude, Rings of Power? Sweet, dude. That's like Lord of the Rings or something. Alright, let's go. Alright. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That right there. That is what I'm talking about. That right there. That's what I'm talking about.
The audience score gives The Two Towers a super high score of 95%, the exact same score the Fellowship of the Ring got. A rare occurrence when the sequel to a hit movie didn't see a drastic drop-off in fan appreciation. And now for the final factor in this three-way review, my dumbass opinion. So if you've been watching my videos, you obviously know by now that I love badass fight scenes. Like, seriously, I get it, like, it doesn't make a movie or break a movie, but at the end of the day, that's what I'm into. I want to see it, and when it comes on the screen, it better be top-notch, because I'm, like, analyzing that shit, like, spot on like a hawk. I really love horses, and with Rohan, obviously, I'm like in love with that place, you know? I grew up with horses, and I've been on farms my whole life, and I've like interacted with horses in a way that these Rohan folk do, and it's just super special. The movie was a rare time when a movie with multiple story branches didn't suck ass. A middle film that perfectly continues the story from the first movie, while epically setting up the final film in the trilogy, yeah, that doesn't really happen. My only major gripe with The Two Towers is that some of the scenes with Frodo and Sam, like, they kind of start to get on my nerves. Like, I didn't think it at first, you know, probably the first, like, 5-10 times of watching this movie, but at this point, you know, like, 50 watches deep, Frodo's kind of a whiny bitch, man, I'm sorry. It kind of gets to the point, like, you know, since I already know what happens, it's just like Sam and Frodo come on the screen, and I'm just like, oh god, get back to the other characters. Like, even though Gollum and Smeagol really help, it just kind of like, it leaves me kind of wanting to see the other stuff. At this point, when I first watched it, like the first few times, I mean, it was amazing. You see me do that stupid spoof in the beginning, right? I love Smeagol and Gollum's parts and how he interacts. It really just boils down to Frodo just, you know, the ring's corrupting him and he just becomes hard to deal with at that point. And it's like, oh god, this guy. And I have to say, even though I understand why they did this, you know, regarding the story, you know, like darkness is approaching, but The Two Towers compared to the Fellowship of the Ring is much less, you know, like fantasy and kind of mythical. There's a lot less like, you know, like, ooh, like trippy, like, you know, like fantasy, like fairies and monsters and creatures and goblins and balrogs and, you know, there's less of that kind of fantasy element to it and it kind of becomes more real world, but enough of the fantasy sticks in this movie that it doesn't really bother me. It's just, you know, it's why I like the Fellowship of the Rings just a teeny bit more. I give The Two Towers a slightly lower score than the Fellowship of the Rings for having a little less of that mythical, whimsical, world-building shit in it. And because Frodo's bitching gets old after watching the movie 50 times. A 95%, just like the fans. I am a fan. And now it's time for the Rip Review. When you combine these three scores, you get an average of 93.8, but I don't give free passes, so I say 93%. Just 1% lower than what the Fellowship of the Rings got. Pretty spot on, I think. That gives the Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, the highest possible rank of immortal, and will be a film that will last the tests of time, and probably still be talked about for decades or maybe centuries to come. But will The Return of the King get the same review? Subscribe to the channel to find out in my next Rip review. I almost burped. So like a real big thing I want to do with this channel is kind of inspire people that we can disagree on things. Like we can have different opinions. You may think something's trash. I might think it's okay. I might think it's great. I might think it's bad but not trash. You know, so like obviously speak from the bottom of your heart whenever you want to comment here. But like at the end of the day, you know, also kind of think how you want people to talk to you. So, you know, let's try to be level-headed. You know, let's not try to be like, if you're in any of the Middle-earth groups or fandom, like, you know, forums or Facebook pages or any of that stuff, it's been hell lately. Like, it's just constant people, like, belittling everybody. And, like, it's trolls all over the board. It's just leaving us poor people in the middle, just being like, guys, like, what happened to showing, like, cool, like, swords and like, your drawings and paintings and, like, you know, your cute little cosplay outfits and all that. So, you know, let's try to be kind of cooler with each other. This has been Rippy, and I hope to see you in the next one.
There's some good in this world, Mr. Virgil. And it's worth fighting for.